Published 0330 Est, the 8th of November 2017. Updated 0553 Est, the 8th of November 2017. A top Welsh Labour politician believed to have killed himself days after being accused of UAL misconduct was thrown to the wolves by the party, Friends said today. Former Minister Carl Sargeant, 48, was found dead at home in Key, North Wales, yesterday, 4 days after he was sacked by First Minister Carwyn Jones. On the morning of his death, he is said to have begged party officials to be told what he had been accused of, and police on North and South Wales have confirmed he was not under investigation before his death. Mr. Sargeant was sacked on Friday after 3 women contacted the First Minister's office and made allegations of UAL misconduct. Today his Labour colleagues in Cardiff said Mr. Sargeant had been humiliated and isolated, and said Mr. Jones faces serious questions about why he sacked him without any investigation. One told the BBC it's hard to understand why Carl was thrown to the wolves, adding the fellow AM was isolated without any decision being made that helps guilty. Cardiff AM Jenny Rathbone said if allegations are made against you, you must know what they are so that you can respond to them. I'm not aware of any form of pastoral care offered, but fortunately there was lots of informal care from people who loved him. Carl Sargeant killed himself yesterday. Left and Welsh Labour leader Carwyn Jones has been accused of throwing him to the wolves over allegations and faces serious questions about his handling of the case. Former Welsh Government Minister Carl Sargeant, 48, pictured with his wife Bernie, 48, and children Jack, 23, and Lucy, 25, is believed to have taken his own life at home in Key, North Wales. A private ambulance believed to be carrying the body of former Welsh Government Minister Carl Sargeant leaves his home in North Wales yesterday. Another said there was deep unease about his sacking and suspension, and said there are questions for the First Minister over this. There are questions over the issue of duty of care in the days before his death. His wife Bernie, 48, and children Jack, 23, and Lucy, 25, said they are devastated beyond words because the family have lost the glue that bound us together. Yesterday the Welsh Assembly cancelled its business in a mark of respect to the dedicated politician and father of 2, who was praised by colleagues for his work on gender equality and domestic abuse. Labour has not detailed the claims, but the under-fire politician had himself described them as shocking and distressing. Party sources said that hours before his death Mr. Sargeant had told friends he was still unaware what the allegations were because Labour officials refused to tell him. His solicitors allegedly wrote to Welsh Labour chiefs to warn them he was suffering from anxiety as a result of not knowing the details of the allegations. A source told The Sun Labour were warned it was affecting his mental health. The allegations ranged from groping to unwanted attention and inappropriate touching, it has been claimed. Police and paramedics were called to his North Wales former council house this morning and he was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was removed by private ambulance this afternoon. Police say they are not treating it as suspicious. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said his death was terrible and deeply shocking news, adding all allegations of UAL misconduct must be examined, but there also has to be great care for everybody involved in these accusations. Mr. Sargeant's last tweet was his personal statement in response to the allegations where he vowed to clear his name. Mr. Sargeant had an apartment in this plush block in the Cardiff Bay area of the Welsh capital. He is said to have been crestfallen that he was not told exactly what he had been accused of. Mr. Sargeant had not been arrested. Mail Online understands, Mr. Sargeant was a much-loved husband, father and friend, a statement released by his family said after his death was announced this afternoon. Carl was a much-loved husband, father and friend. He wasn't simply a part of our family. He was the glue that bound us together. He was the heart of our family. We loved him so very much, it said. He was the most kind and caring husband, father, son, and friend. We are devastated beyond words, and we know our grief will be shared by all those who knew and loved him. We are in shock and grief. Family members hugged each other on the drive of the mid-terrace former council house where Mr. Sargeant lived, round the corner from the school where his wife works as a teaching assistant, as a black private ambulance left the property, guarded by police. A neighbour across the road from his home, who did not want to be named, said he's got a wife and children over there, my heart goes out to them, it's shocking. I've known him since being a child. He would be going about canvassing with the local MPs and that type of stuff. He's a man who still lives in an ex-council house. He's down to earth and a family man. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? The Labour leader tweeted to express his sadness at the loss of Mr Sargeant. Carl Sargeant was a Welsh Assembly member for Alun and Deeside and Cabinet Secretary for Communities and Children. Another local said he's a lovely, loyal, honest man, who would do anything to help anyone. He would try his hardest to sort anything out for you, no matter who you were or where you came from. He knew his roots. These allegations, it's all a load of C. North Wales Police said its officers were investigating Mr Sargeant's death but said it was not suspicious. His death represents a dark turn for the harassment scandal that had rocked British politics and has led to calls for anonymity to those accused of UAL allegations or crimes. 8 Tory MPs and 3 Labour MPs have been embroiled in allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Theresa May brought party leaders together for a meeting last night in a bid to bolster protection for politicians' staff. Mr Sargeant's wife Bernie, pictured together, and his children have been left devastated. Theresa May, pictured in Downing Street last night, brought party leaders together for a meeting in a bid to bolster protection for politicians' staff. FMR Sargeant was on holiday with his wife Bernie in New York last week when the allegations broke about his conduct towards women. It emerged last night. Father off to Mr Sargeant returned from his family US break to be called into the office of the Labour First Minister Carwyn Jones, who sacked him. On Friday, Mr Sargeant insisted he had resigned after being told that shocking and distressing allegations had been made against him. But Labour Party sources insisted he was fired. Welsh Labour leader Mr Jones said at the time he had to remove him from his cabinet post after learning of certain incidents involving several women. Mr Sargeant was confronted with allegations about his personal conduct by Welsh First Minister Carwyn Jones, and the pair agreed he should leave his post. Carl Sargeant had risen to the top tier of Welsh politics before allegations about his personal conduct led to him being sacked just days before he was found dead. A former process worker at a North Wales chemical plant, Mr Sargeant, 49, was elected to Cardiff Bay in 2003 as Labour AM for the Alun and Deeside seat. Until his removal as Cabinet Secretary for Communities and Children, he had served in a series of ministerial roles in the Welsh Government. In 2007 he was appointed Chief Whip of the Labour group before becoming Minister for Local Government. Roles as Minister for Housing and Regeneration and Minister for Natural Resources followed before being named Cabinet Secretary for Communities and Children in May 2016. The devastation of his local community following the collapse of steelmaking at the Shotton plant in the 1980s, which saw thousands lose their jobs, had inspired a commitment to social justice. Mr Sargeant witnessed the impact of heavy drinking and domestic violence on families in the area, leading him to campaign extensively on the issue. A keen football fan, Mr Sargeant was president of FC Nomads of Connah's Quay, the town where he lived all his life and where he was found dead. He was married to Bernie and they had 2 children, Lucy and Jack. He said, "My office spoke to the women involved. As a result of those discussions, I felt there was no choice other than to refer the matter to my own party for further investigation." Mr Sargeant had the party whip removed and was suspended by Welsh Labour. The former Chief Whip and Environment Minister had vowed to clear his name before his death. In a statement released on Friday, Mr Sargeant said, "I met with the First Minister and he informed me allegations had been made about my personal conduct, which was shocking and distressing to me. The details of the allegations have yet to be disclosed to me. I have written to the General Secretary of Welsh Labour requesting an urgent independent investigation into these allegations in order to allow me to clear my name. Given the nature of the allegations, I agreed with the First Minister that it was right that I stand aside from Cabinet. I look forward to returning to government once my name has been cleared. I won't be commenting further at this stage." Tory MP Nigel Evans has been pushing for defendants in offence cases should get anonymity on the same level as people The former Deputy Speaker was cleared of charges of UAL assault after a court battle in 2014. Mr. Evans stressed he did not know Mr. Sargeant, and was not aware of the specific allegations he faced. But the senior MP told Mail Online he believed Mr. Sargeant might not have killed himself if he had not been named. I still believe, I have held this view all along, that had the allegations been made and had he had some anonymity, he would probably still be alive today, Mr. Evans said. There is immense pressure. The whole thing is played out in the public eye. Mr. Evans said he understood the argument that publicity could mean more victims come forward, but insisted that when serious accusations were made the issue would go to court anyway. He suggested that people facing UAL allegations should be granted anonymity until the point of charge. Former Welsh Government Minister Carl Sargeant, 48, pictured with Ed Miliband, is believed to have taken his own life at home in Connors North Wales. Mr. Sargeant, pictured with Labour's Deputy Leader Tom Watson, had vowed to clear his name referring to Mr. Sargeant. Mr. Evans said who knows exactly what has been through his mind, but there is immense stress when allegations are made. Some people are unable to cope. Clearly in this case that looks to be the case. Police officers remained outside the Labour politician's home in North Wales today. Neighbours and locals spoke of their shock at the news. Lifelong childhood friend and fellow Labour Party representative Bernie Attridge wiped away tears as he spoke. Mr. Attridge, 46, the deputy leader of Flintshire County Council, speaking at the local Labour club, said I'm absolutely distraught. He was a personal friend of mine. I've known Carl all my life. We've grown up together in Connors Quay. Carl was very instrumental in saving this club that we are standing in now from closing. I find myself in very dark days. It's such a sad loss of such a great friend of mine. My heartfelt thoughts are with Bernadette, his wife, Jack, his son, and Lucy, his daughter. At the end of the day allegations were made. I'm a great believer you are innocent until proven guilty. I don't know the details of the suspension. I know HES a very loyal man. MP touched thigh. And another post, a Lib Dem member wrote I was 19 years old. After a day of canvassing, the local party went to a restaurant. I sat next to the MP. He put his hand on my thigh and said, "You're the only one here who claims not to be into men." Tongue down throat tone, wrote a fellow male activist of a similar age, 20s, was drunk at conference and when saying goodbye at the bar he tried sticking his tongue down my throat. It was horrible and I'm wary to be around him, especially after he has had a drink, as he can't seem to control himself. Man touched bottom. Another wrote, we were all laughing and chatting and then one man put his hand on my bum as part of a joke. It stayed there a bit too long. Everybody laughed. Mr. Attridge said Mr. Sargeant worked as an industrial firefighter at a local factory and became a member of Connors Quay Town Council as his political career began. He added he was an excellent constituent assembly member. Nothing was too much trouble for him. Even when we were out in here enjoying ourselves, having private time on a Saturday night, on many occasions if anyone had any issues, Carl was first on the scene, the first to take details. It wasn't ring me. He was very approachable. He fought hard for Alun and Deeside. Proceedings at the Welsh Assembly were cancelled. First Minister Carl Wyn-Jones said Carl was a friend as well as a colleague, and I am shocked and deeply saddened by his death. He made a big contribution to Welsh public life and fought tirelessly for those he represented both as a minister and local assembly member. He will be a great loss to our party and to the Senedd. The leader of the Conservatives in the Assembly, Andrew Davies, said our Parliament has lost a stalwart and many of us have lost a friend. Neil Hamilton, the former Tory MP, who is UKIP leader in the Assembly, called him a gentle giant who would be missed across the party divide. Plaid Cymru leader Leanne Wood said Carl Sargeant made a significant contribution to Welsh politics, both as an Assembly member and government minister. On behalf of Plaid Cymru, I send our deepest sympathies to his family, friends and colleagues at this difficult time. Flags fly at half-mast above the Senedd, the National Assembly for Wales building in Cardiff Bay. In a joint statement, Economy Secretary Ken Skates and Environment Secretary Leslie Griffiths described him as a gentle but brilliant person. They added he will never be forgotten by us as a kind, genuine and compassionate man, always determined to fight against injustice, particularly for people who did not have a voice. Our thoughts are with Bernie, Lucy, Jack and all his family, who are now without a wonderful, warm, loyal family man. Gynecologist put hands up skirts. Date accused November 5. Allegation. Former Tory Health Minister Dan Poulter, who used to work as a gynecologist, was accused by fellow Tory Andrew Bridgen of putting his hand up the skirts of 3 female MPs. Rebuttal said to deny the allegations, but he has not commented publicly. Now under investigation by the new Tory party disciplinary panel. Former Tory Health Minister Dan Poulter, who used to work as a gynecologist, was accused by fellow Tory Andrew Bridgen of putting his hand up the skirts of 3 female MPs. Whips unwanted UAL advances. Date accused November 5. Allegation. Tory government whip Chris Pincher made unwanted advances towards former Olympic rower Alex Storey. Also accused of touching up former Labour MP Tom Blenkinsip. Not facing party disciplinary action. Rebuttal. Has quit his role and voluntarily referred himself to police. Chris Pincher has quit his role as a whip and voluntarily referred himself to police. Made unwanted advances towards former Olympic rower Alex Storey. Pressured researcher to go on date. Date accused November 4. Allegation. Tory MP Daniel Korczynski pressured young party researcher to go on a date with a wealthy businessman older than her father in 2013. Under investigation by new Conservative disciplinary panel. Rebuttal strongly denies accusation, saying he only asked the researcher to have a coffee with a friend. Daniel Korczynski denies allegations he pressured a young party researcher to go on a date with a wealthy businessman older than her father in 2013. Serious UAL assault. Date accused November 3. Allegation. Former Tory whip Charlie Elphicke accused of serious UAL assault. Suspended by party pending police inquiry. Rebuttal. The Dover and Deal MP denies any wrongdoing. Former Tory whip Charlie Elphicke has been suspended by the party pending police inquiry after being accused of serious UAL assault. Claims date back 15 years. Date accused November 2. Allegations. Sir Michael Fallon touched Julia Hartley-Brewer's knee, lunged at journalist Jane Merrick and gave unwanted attention to Andrea Leadsom in incidents dating back 15 years. Rebuttal. Quit as Defence Secretary. Sir Michael Fallon touched Julia Hartley-Brewer's knee, lunged at journalist Jane Merrick and gave unwanted attention to Andrea Leadsom in incidents dating back 15 years. Extreme on computer. Date accused November 1. Allegation. Deputy PM Damien Green made advances towards activist Kate Maltby. Police found extremography on computer in his office in 2008. Rebuttal denies allegations. Under investigation. Deputy PM Damien Green made advances towards activist Kate Maltby. Police found extremography on computer in his office in 2008. Admitted text to woman, 19. Date accused October 29. Allegation. Tory ex-cabinet minister Stephen Crabb sent pretty outrageous texts to a 19-year-old who applied for job. Under investigation by Conservative disciplinary panel. Rebuttal. The MP admits incidents. Tory ex-cabinet minister Stephen Crabb sent pretty outrageous texts to a 19-year-old who applied for jobs. End. Aid to buy toys. Date accused October 29. Allegation. Trade Minister Mark Garnier referred to female aid as sugar teas and asked her to buy toys. Under probe. Rebuttal. MP says allegations do not constitute harassment. Trade Minister Mark Garnier referred to a female aide as sugar teas and asked her to buy toys. And the Labour men also in the dock groped woman at party. Date accused November 3. Allegation. Former frontbencher Clive Lewis groped a woman at a party at Labour conference in September. Under probe. Rebuttal. Firm denial, saying it's not how I roll. Former frontbencher Clive Lewis denies groping a woman at a party at Labour conference in September. Text to woman of 24. Date accused November 2. Allegation. Former frontbencher Kelvin Hopkins sent inappropriate texts to 24-year-old, rubbed crotch on her. Suspended. Rebuttal. Denies allegations. Former frontbencher Kelvin Hopkins denies sending inappropriate texts to 24-year-old and rubbing his crotch on her stroked leg of 19-year-old. Date accused November 3. Allegation. Former Minister Ivan Lewis stroked the leg of 19-year-old. No investigation. Rebuttal denies the claim but has apologized for any unwelcome behavior in past. Former Minister Ivan Lewis stroked the leg of 19-year-old. He denies that allegation but has apologized for any unwelcome behavior in past offensive posts on the web date accused October 25. Allegation Jared O'Mara called woman ugly b. Offensive comments. Suspended. Rebuttal MP denies first comment. Apologized for posts. Jared O'Mara was suspended by the Labour Party and has apologized after making a string of offensive comments.